Getting ready to start. Yep. Little slow back there. Could be. It's a big clock. Okay, here we go. We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on April 14th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Before we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the treasurer reminded me before the meeting that President Lincoln was assassinated on this day in 1865. So if we could, we'll do a brief moment of silence to recognize that. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. He did pass away the following day. Yes. Okay. All right. We have a very full agenda tonight, so we will try to move through these as quickly as we can. But to start us off, is there anybody that'd like to speak under public participation? Okay, there's no public participation this evening. We will start with item number 4, Wanda Lee Rolfs, Logan County Tourism Quarterly Update. Ms. Rolfs?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is a nice sunny day, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing me to be here and to give you some updates on what's going on within the life of the Logan County Tourism Bureau. You have a sheet to take notes on, but actually it is a sheet so that you know what some takeaways are that I would like for you to try and remember. And if you have questions about them, then please let me know. There are several areas that I want to address, but of course one of the first ones is about finances. The first area I'm going to talk about, as you know, within your budget, you have given the Logan County Tourism Bureau $30,000 this past year, and of course we're hoping for at least another $30,000 in your budget, since you're working on it, for next year. I have broken down the $30,000 into two parts. One is $5,000, and then the other is $25,000. The $5,000 goes into our mini grant program, and as you know, we had that in March. And the breakdowns for that amount of money was $1,300 went for each of the following: the John Welsh Memorial Tournament, the All-State Junior High Classic, and the Logan County Fair. These events usually require a 2-night stay, so when we look at hotel-motel tax, I think we need to look at the value that those programs do offer. And in talking with Kent Frobe, when I took him the check from the Tourism Bureau, he told me that that was probably the best year that they have ever had, and was really happy with that. But of course he went on to emphasize they'd have a lot more, would like to have a lot more sports events. But he said he even had somebody from Casey's that came in and said that was the best weekend they had ever had. So we know that the sports program is great in Lincoln. We know that it does take 2 nights to stay, and therefore 1 to 2 nights, and therefore there is hotel-motel tax involved. Then the second thing is the $25,000, which is basically to cover operational costs. I've broken that down to a little bit of information. One is that with the CVB grant for the Logan County Tourism Bureau, that grant allows salary expenditures in it. I have listed there in my notes that salary was, at this point in time for that grant, $8,288.31. takeaway point, if you want to write it down. Then the rest of that, within the grant that has been spent at this time in Lincoln and Logan County, is for advertising, and that is $18,123. So if you add that together, and we've got one more quarter to go, so that expenditure of the $30,000, $32,000 for the grant will be ending at the end of June. You have any questions on that point yet, that or something you want me to repeat? Okay. In the advertising, the recent videos and pictures for marketing Logan County and the city of Lincoln are in both our website and our Facebook page. So if you haven't been on either one of those, you need to go on, please, and look at the films and the road trips that they take throughout Logan County and what things that they are emphasizing. Okay, then moving on to the Route 66 grant, which we know was awarded at a cost, a price of $465,000. That was awarded through Illinois state programs. And with that, the collaboration of the Logan County Tourism Bureau and the City of Lincoln Tourism Department has only made it, would have only been possible with our CVB grant. I am sure that Scott has kept you all in good contact with what is going on at the City of Lincoln Tourism Department, so I'm not going to get into that because I'm sure that Scott has you well informed with that. I would like to talk a little bit about what we're doing out at the mill. And if anybody has been by, they will notice that the new windmill is up. They put it up last Thursday. We haven't tried it out yet because it does have lighting on it. The wiring is in place, and it will be hooked up sometime once the new motor is here. And if you have questions, you can always ask Steve, because this is kind of one of his projects that he's working on. But it looks like it will all be done for Route 66 for us. And, of course, we're excited to say that we hope that we'll have an event on June the 20th to launch that. But we're going to have it in the afternoon, so we're going to ask everybody to come back that night when it's dark to see the lights and the turning on that. So we're pretty excited about it. I think it's important to note that this has been a good collaboration between the City of Lincoln and the Logan County Tourism Bureau, that we have done some really nice things. It is going to provide a return on investment for both organizations and throughout the City of Lincoln, because I know just from the tourists that I've had, and as of right now, we have had 126 tourists in the Bureau basically since the 1st of January, and most people don't get out that much, but we're really excited. We have a couple of venues that are planned. There is a Bronco car group that is coming to Lincoln in May, and so they will also be out there for that. You know, and as we look at the future, we have heard, and I'm sure maybe Scott has mentioned this, that we did not believe that there would be another Route 66 grant since this is the 100th anniversary, but they are going to have another grant next year, and with that grant, then we can look forward to doing some more things, and hopefully that collaboration will be there so that we can work together to build Lincoln. Logan County is one of the destinations. That's what we want. I also would like to emphasize that another project that we've worked on is the strategic plan, and Molly, our president, is here, and she's done most of the work on that. But we are trying to get at least 100 people to take that strategic plan survey. If you have not done it, you may go onto Facebook or onto Instagram, and you can find that, and Facebook, and take the survey. and then those results will come back to us. So that provides us with an opportunity to, because it goes to all the county people as well as the city, gives us an opportunity to have good, firm data when we're looking at planning for next year or for the next 3 or 4 years, and which, of course, we want to do. We want to look at years down the road to make sure that we keep people coming back to Lincoln. And I think I've covered everything. Just remember, this is a huge return on our investment in this. Molly, is there anything I forgot?
I was out at the windmill to look at the windmill yesterday. It looks great. It does. So looking forward to seeing it lit up and turning again.
Well, and
A lot of
again,
history.
it's going to be the best at night.
Yep.
You can't see the light's not quite as, shows up quite as much in the daytime, so you'll have to make a drive-by at night to see it. If you come back, if you come out on the 20th, come back, and we may still have food going.
There you go. Any questions for Ms. Rolfs? Mr. Parrott?
Have we placed the survey on the city website? I know that we've sent it out to the council.
I don't think it's on the city website. Scott, have you put it on the city tourism page?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The survey, the strategic plan survey?
It's not on the website, but it's been shared.
Okay.
Now, I also attached some financials because I think it's important for you to kind of, what we talk about with the grant is pretty specific. That money goes toward the grant, that's it. But for you to kind of look at some of these pages, and you may not have questions tonight because I know you want to work on the budget, but if you have any questions about any of the figures, I picked 2 months here on these because I think one is more positive than the other, and they kind of weigh each other out. So, but if you have any questions, Tracy, let me know.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for doing this. I know that this was one of the things that some members of the council were very, very passionate about getting from tourism was the financial. So thank you. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, and if there's something else that you want, sometimes you don't know how much people really look at budgets and look at pages like this and take it serious and say, oh, I can figure it out. They can look at it and can't figure it out, and then they don't go further, so.
Okay. Anything else for Ms. Rolfs? Okay. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming tonight. We appreciate it. Molly, thank you for coming as well. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Item number 5, Crawford Murphy and Tilly work order number 18, wastewater treatment plant nutrient removal. Mr. Bounds? Or Mr. Remmert?
There we go. I'll
Rock,
fill
paper,
it.
scissors for it.
Oh, you, Shane.
Shane, you're getting awful comfortable in that seat. We're seeing a lot of you.
Well, if you don't want me to come, then that's fine.
No, it just means you're less intimidated now. Well, that's true. Okay, Shane, floor
You
is
guys
yours.
done? I'm not in any hurry. You guys are the ones with a full agenda, so.
We've started off on the right foot. We're calling each other the right name tonight, so.
Okay, all right. Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Tracy. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the council, what we have before you today is work order 18. This is for a project at the wastewater treatment plant. So every 5 years, the city has to renew their NPDES permit with EPA. That was in renewal last year. You remember when that was issued?
It was issued in April last year. We're right at right over a year now with the new permit.
So one of the things that's been written into every wastewater treatment plant into their NPDES permit is a phosphorus reduction program. It started out with a study that needed to be done, and now this is the actual nuts and bolts of accomplishing that. So there's a compliance schedule in there to where EPA expects to see plan specifications, construction permit applied for in November. Oddly enough, the city of Lincoln's NPDES permit is very specific on like dates, where other ones it's more general, where it's like, hey, you're just going to have construction done by 12/31 or 28 or something like that. So anyway, we are up against a permit requirement to do this project. So the project is to take their existing aeration tanks at the plant. And so there's two main ways to reduce phosphorus from the treatment. One is to add chemical. By and large, most of our clients don't want to do that because it's very costly over time. The other option is to add gates, pumps, mixers, move the water in a different way such that the biology in the tanks actually decreases the phosphorus content by the biology in the tank is doing that. So this project is to make those necessary improvements within the tanks to reduce the phosphorus and get the city, in compliance.
Okay. Any questions for Shane on this one? Mr. Downs?
Is it just the phosphorus, or is there other nutrients?
So Andrew knows his permit better than I do, but so there's specific limits of different chemicals and oxygen, and we're currently working with the chlorine and dechlor project that's out there now. This one is specific to the phosphorus. It's a statewide program to reduce that phosphorus from wastewater treatment plants.
Thank you.
Andrew, do you have anything to add? Are good? Okay. Okay, there are no other questions then. Place this on the regular agenda for next week. Okay. We'll place item number 5 on the regular agenda. Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is item number 6, request for special use permit at 311 South Logan Street. This is Mr. Woodhull's agenda item, and the property owner, Mr. Jonathan Cox, is in the audience as well if you have questions. Wes?
Thank you, Mayor. On April 2nd, the Planning Commission held a meeting to entertain a request for basically the reuse of 2 drive-through windows at an existing structure, 311 South Logan. It's actually that corner, South Logan, Union, Decatur, and Fish Street, that triangle building. So they approved it unanimously. I ran a bunch of numbers on it, and the maps I gave you in the packet show how the traffic would come in and out. It's going to be one part is going to be a point of sale. The other will be on the back side of the building will be a pre-ordered, prepaid for. So both of these items are actually going to be quick moving, I'd call it, not necessarily, look at a menu board and wait in line. This is a farm to table, local sourced food. Like the mayor said, Mr. Cox is here if you had any questions, but to the best of my understanding, it's like pre-made meals, like I said, locally sourced and all that. So they unanimously approved it, and we're looking for the same.
Questions from the council? Okay, Mr. Downs?
Pre-made meals?
Yes.
Jonathan, do you wanna-
I don't want to, yeah, go ahead.
Trying to make it go fast for y'all. You got a budget to worry about.
That's all right.
Yeah, so the meals will be pre-made. Everything will be locally, well, as much as possible, locally grown, locally sourced product. I will pre-make the food, and then it will be frozen. So eventually it'll be flash frozen. Right now it'll just be frozen, and so then you take it home, you throw it in the oven, it's done. You got a fresh made meal that's not out of a. Well, it's kind of out of a box, but not. No preservatives, no fillers, no junk, no bad stuff. Good food.
When are you targeting for opening up the
Well,
location?
that's a very good question. So the upstairs of the building is a VRBO, which will be opening in probably about 5 more days. We should have that totally ready for opening. So the VRBO will start generating revenue immediately. I've got a little bit more work to do in the kitchen. I need to bring everything up to code, so I'm still working on all of that. I would like to be open. Ideally, I will be open. Let's say,
It's always a moving target.
yeah, April, May, thereabout. I'll be open totally by summer, but I was hoping to be open before that, but there was just some things that need to be addressed in the building. Not major things, just expensive things. So, yeah.
I'm glad to see you purchase that property. It's rather unique and one that most are familiar with in this town, so.
Thank you.
Good
I'm
location,
pretty
too.
excited. I'm very thankful to have it. I'm very, very thankful.
Any other questions for Mr. Cox? Ms. McClellan?
It's not a question, but I was just telling my husband yesterday, that's what somebody in Lincoln needs to do. That's exactly what we needed. I mean, there's so many people who can really use that. So I'm really glad that you're doing that.
Well, I'm not putting a plug in, but I'm on the board of directors for Farm Fed Co-op, which is out of Mount Pulaski, Illinois. And that's kind of what we have been doing is we have been creating a food system that it almost covers the entire state at this point, and now we're starting to branch out to other states of all local grown organic practices, but it's not organic because that's a whole joke. But anyway, yeah, so we've been working on that, and this is, that step had to be in place, and now that step's in place, so now I can do what it is that I want to do to start to feed that Farm Fed Co-op. Thank you for what you guys do.
Mr. Parrott?
This will be year-round,
Yes.
so how do you address like winter months and stuff?
Because, well, we've worked on that because Farm Fed Co-op has large freezers, and I also am partnering with the gentleman up around Chicago that feed. As a matter of fact, one of the things my business will be doing, it will start out at 200 pounds of sauce a week. We'll be going up to Chicago, but then it will once I'm up and fully running, it will be 600 pounds of sauce going up to Chicago every single week. Those tomatoes are being held in massive freezers. We have buildings that have massive freezers and refrigerators in them, and we are harvesting fresh food, and we are flash freezing it so that I'm working with this gentleman to try to. We're going to get a. Oh golly, I can't think of the name of it right now, but we're going to use gas to freeze it. We're actually going to do liquid nitrogen. So it freezes in 4 seconds. And so we're getting food that's fresh frozen right when it's picked. And then that will go through the whole year. That's the plan. You're welcome.
Very good. Okay, any other questions? Mr. Gonzo?
Really not a question, but it's really good to see somebody put that building to good use. I think it's been, I think at least 30 years since there's been anything in there, and I live right down the street from there, so I notice it every time I go by it. And I think it's just wonderful that you're going to be putting it to very good use.
Thank you, Chuck. I've looked at that building for about 10 years, and I kept thinking that'd be a great place. I never thought I'd own it. I wanted to own it, but I never thought I would, so.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Is the council okay putting this on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll put it on the regular agenda. We'll vote on this next week, Jonathan.
Thank
Okay,
you. Do I
thank
need to be
you.
here for that one? Not that I don't.
You are more than welcome to join us. You don't have to be, but you're welcome to if you'd like.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item up is item number 7, resolution approving the content of certain executive session meeting minutes. Mr. Hoblet.
Every 6 months, we come forth with the meeting minutes of the exec session. By Illinois state statute, we must do this periodically to ensure that the said minutes, we need to vote on them as to whether or not you want to keep them. We'll vote on the veracity of them and vote them whether or not you want to keep them within the closed session privilege. So that is what is before you. We did this last, I believe, in November. So that is what's that's what's up before you now. And I do not recall if we had some new people here the last time we did this, but that is the long and short of it. And if you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer them.
Ms. Bateman, do you have anything to add on this item? Okay. All right. Place this on the regular agenda. Mr. Bateman, did you have your hand up? Okay. Place it on the regular agenda. Okay. We'll place item number 7 on the regular agenda. That brings us down to item number 8. Proclamation Arbor Day celebration, Friday, April 24th, 2026. Due to how packed this agenda is tonight, I'm not going to read this as I normally do. I will next week during the voting meeting, but it is in the packet, and it is on page 11 if you would like to read the proclamation. Mr. Landers, would you like to add anything to this?
I'd just like to announce that the city of Lincoln has been recognized as a Tree City community again for this year. This is our 25th straight year being recognized. We will be having a tree planting ceremony next Friday. Time is to be announced yet, but I'm assuming it'll be in the morning, and that'll take place at Melrose Park.
Okay.
But there will be a press release for it.
Mr. Parrott?
What kind of tree?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't went and bought it.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be probably a variety of maple.
Yeah. Okay.
Just leave that to me.
Okay. Place this on the regular agenda. Okay, we'll place item number 8 on the regular agenda. This brings us down to item number 9, agreement between the City of Lincoln and International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 399, for a 4-year contract from May 1st, 2026 to April 30th, 2030. So these next 3 items, these are the union contract negotiations that myself, Walt, Ty, Joe, and Sam, Kevin, and Stan have been working on. And so I thought it would be appropriate if, as we go through these, the council member that was responsible for participating and representing the council during those negotiations kind of shared some very high-level stuff, and then just kind of give their feelings about how things went. Of course, the department head for each contract is more than willing to jump in and share your thoughts as well. So we'll go ahead and start with Stan.
So representing the, or I don't know, representing, but anyway, the Union of Operating Engineers, Local 399, as Tracy stated there, we did get together a couple times. We actually had 2 meetings, and couple times we met and we sidebarred and reconvened again at each one of those meetings. The union themselves, members, had a few topics that they wanted to bring forward to discuss, and so we took a look at all those. I think we did a good job of trying to bring some of the unions together as far as like their longevity scales and vacations and stuff like that, trying to mimic some of those between each one of them there. There was basically 14 topics that we looked at there and such, and had a discussion on each and every one of them. Agreed that with a 4-year contract, and with a going out 4 years versus the norm, I guess, in the past maybe has been 3 years. So yeah, so did do a 4-year one this year here. There was a couple additional things that was added there, but they were just kind of some side things that the union representatives wanted themselves, and it was just kind of cleaning up language. One of them, like PLAWA, the paid leave for All Workers Act and stuff, just some clarity on that. So overall, I think it was everything was very cordial. All our conversations were very good. Negotiations and discussions that were held seemed like that it all went fairly smooth. But overall, I think it's both parties involved were looking out for what's best for them and for the city, and that's the agreement that we was able to come up with. And so overall, I think it went very well.
Walt, would you like to add anything?
I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. Does the council have any questions for Walt or Stan on this one? Okay. Place this on the regular agenda. Okay. We'll place item number 9 on the regular agenda. Okay, next item is item number 10, agreement between the City of Lincoln and Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 208, 4-year contract from May 1st, 2026 to April 30th, 2030. Mr. Downs.
So I assisted with the negotiation here. It was so smooth. It was so smooth. It was the quickest, most painless union negotiation I've ever witnessed. The police had a few minor issues that were concerned, that were brought up, but they were addressed super quickly. There was some hang-ups on marijuana usage, but that got resolved very painlessly. They're amazing to work with, and I think we did great.
Deputy Chief Comstock. anything to add? Okay, council, any questions? Place on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll place item number 10 on the regular agenda. Next item is item number 11, agreement between the City of Lincoln and International Association of Firefighters, Local 3092, for a 4-year contract, May 1st, 2026 to April 30th, 2030. Mr. Bateman.
So this one went, I would call it fairly smooth also. We did have 2 separate meetings. There was a couple things that the chief had brought up that we wanted to get worked out. One of them was insurance-wise, the fire department always insisted on a $1,500 deductible. Nobody ever took it. So we explained that the city can offer different plans if we remove that. They agreed to that, so we worked out the insurance portion of that. And then the other main negotiating point, there's a couple main negotiating points, marijuana usage because of being legal in Illinois, so that was worked out. And maternity leave, that was easily negotiated, and probably the main one, and Ty could chip in if need be, but the retirement program for the fire department just was unsustainable long-term for the city of Lincoln. So we didn't want to hinder anybody that was currently employed. So they agreed to leaving their retirement plan the same, and anybody hired after May 1 of 2026 will have a different plan that longevity-wise for the city of Lincoln will benefit us in the long run.
Chief Johnson, anything to add?
Yeah, just to clarify a little bit more, what he was talking about there was the sick time usage and how that's paid out at retirement. The tiers for the pension plan stayed the same. But I would like to thank Alderman Bateman and the mayor and the union board as well, because we did have a very smooth negotiation.
Any questions on this one? Okay, add item number 11 to the regular agenda. Okay, we will add that. And then I'll just chime in too. I think that these negotiations have got better over the years. When I came in, they were pretty contentious. And I think it's just an indication of how well that the city and the members of the unions are working together now. And I think we do have the best interests of each other and the residents of Lincoln and those who serve us in mind. That's very obvious. I think that it was nice that we could sit and have conversations about the things that were important to them and then the things that were important to us. And we had an opportunity to ask questions and people could respond, because some of the things I asked was they had come to us with an item and I said, can you please explain why that's important to you? And they were very forthcoming, and we did that as well. So kudos to everybody that was involved. Also, and no offense to lawyers in general, but I think it's nice that we did. We had no lawyers involved on either side, because we didn't reach the point where we needed to. Everybody was understanding and negotiated in good faith, I believe. So, of course, we could have pulled them in if we needed to, but yeah, I think things went well. Mr. Bateman?
So in reading all 3 contracts, and I'm just saying this because I don't know if it's a typographical error, but in the street and alley and in the police, they use language of high deductible insurance. I think we should probably strike those words, because it's either a regular plan or a PPO.
No. You want to state that? You can. You represent us on insurance.
So with the fire department, with their $1,500 negotiation, they come up with, if you take an HSA plan, that the city's contribution for HSA will be at 100% of the deductible up to $3,000. So right now, we have a $2,500 plan, and we get $2,500 a year toward our HSA. So right now it's that anyway. But then we have a $3,500 HSA plan, and they still get the $2,500. So the thing is, no matter what the HSA you take, you will get up to $3,000 of the 100% of the deductible. So like, let's say next year we may have a $2,800 deductible. Whoever takes that would get $2,800 a year for the HSA contribution. Any questions on that? So that would go for everybody and not just the fire department in that respect.
Yeah, I think the gist of it, and Kevin and Ty can keep me honest with that one with fire, was that as Kevin mentioned, the deductible plan that really was in the contract that hadn't been utilized in years, that was one of the things that we really wanted to have a conversation about, which we did. But we also had to make sure that as the cost of premiums are increasing, that we're fairly treating the employees as well, and ensuring that they don't go backwards. Status quo is where I think we ended up at, and I think there was a slight increase in our doing that, but there's other offsets through other things that were negotiated that made it a moot point. Yeah. So, yeah. And that took a lot of good conversation to get to that point, and flexibility on both sides. Ms. McClellan?
So how's the HSA funded? Is it self-funded? Are we funding it? The insurance is?
City.
We do.
It's in
Okay.
their HSA account for the people that have HSA, yes.
Yeah, and I another thing that I thought of when Kevin was talking was consistency. So we've talked about this in the past, leading up to these negotiations, to better position at least the city. We wanted to have some consistency across all contracts, and all the unions knew that. We were very upfront and honest with them about it, and I think we all did a good job of reaching a pretty good level of consistency, I think, with all three of the contracts. There's obviously things that are going to come up between now and 4 years from now, but we're well positioned. I think we position the city well for moving forward. So, anything else to add, Mr. Becky?
Was this also increased to a 4-year contract comparative to before it was a 3-year contract?
It was, yeah, these
So,
are
I mean,
all,
the year, last time was 3 years.
last
right?
was 4.
That was 4 too? Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to item number 12, the City of Lincoln updated building code adoption. Mr. Woodhull.
Thank you, Mayor. So I mentioned this a month or two ago. I've been working on this for quite some time, and I've got it ready to be adopted by the city. This is our International Building Code, the cycle of the International Building Code. This is the 2024 cycle. So the length of it being, I think I ordered these in late 24, early 25 when they were first available. So over the course of the last year, basically have gone through them page by page, amended them as appropriate for the city of Lincoln. So that includes a large family for the International Building Code, which is, or the International Code Council family of codes. That's the building codes, the fuel, gas, mechanical. I think there's 8 or 10 of those in general, or in total, excuse me. And then also the NEC and NFPA 70, which is your electrical code, your accessibility code, the state of Illinois plumbing code. So all in total, I think there's 12 or 14. And again, we put it out for a public viewing and comment session a couple months ago. And certainly this is the time of year to proceed with this because it's obviously the building time of year. So this will put us basically as far forward as we can with our building codes.
Questions for Mr. Woodhull? And you've been working on this how long?
Since early 25, a little over a year. It's a lot of reading.
Yep.
And I tend to fall
Riveting
asleep.
reading, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's some of them are, half-inch thick. Some of them are 2 inches thick. It's kind of very mundane reading,
Yeah. between everything else we ask you to do.
Very textbook type reading, but a very specific and to the building realm, I suppose. So.
Well, thank you for putting in the time. We appreciate it. Council have any questions? Place this on the regular agenda. Okay, we'll place item number 12 on the regular agenda. Okay, next item up is revised agreement between the City of Lincoln and Logan County Animal Control effective May 1st, 2026. I'll speak to this one. Chief Meister and I met with representatives of Logan County Animal Control. They came to us. It's been quite a while since they came to us, and we're having conversations. They wanted to renew the contract, so we sat down and had a conversation about it. I did notice in the packet that it starts off on one of the additional pages, so I don't know if it came like that. Like, I think it's missing the first page. I think page 1, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get it to you. I just want to make sure that if you were looking for it, we'll get it to you. Really, the significant differences in this contract was that, oh no, that's okay. Yeah, thank you. That can we just send it to the council later on? Okay, we'll mail it to everybody. I think the significant things in this negotiation was that they now are fully staffed. And if you remember, some of you have been here for a while, they had come to us before and they were actually going to terminate the contract, and we spoke with them and they agreed to keep it in place, but there was a reduction of services because they were having staffing issues. That brought us down to, I think, like $48,000 a year for that contract. So when they came back to us, they wanted to increase the amount. Rather than just throw an arbitrary number out there, we wanted to make sure that it was data driven. So sat down with Jane Whiteman from Animal Control, county board members, Mr. Knauer, Mr. Conahan, and Joe and myself, and worked through the numbers. Where we came up with was $52,000 a year. That is consistent with cost of living increase and consistent with the numbers that were presented to us based on the number of calls that go through dispatch and the number of calls that the police department gets directly. So we believe that this is a reasonable contract. One of the things that we did speak to them about was the fact that because there has been some stability issues, I guess you could call them, with these contracts, this is like the second or third time that we've had to sit down and negotiate this contract in my time. And when there's changes, they've been, in my opinion, a little abrupt. What we said was, we're okay with the contract, but we would like to pay you on a monthly basis. And we would like a month-to-month contract for the first year. And really the idea is to, work everything out and make sure that everything's working the way that it should with animal control. They were a little reluctant to do that, but they ultimately agreed to that. And I think when we come back, perhaps in a year, we'll discuss something a little bit more long-term. So they did increase some of the services again and are fully staffed. So that's how that all went. Mr. Barrett?
Is there some state statute that requires Logan County to be able to provide animal control to the citizens of Logan County?
I believe there is a state statute, because we've actually talked about whether it would be beneficial if the city just started an animal control program, but the county is statutorily required to do that based on what we've been told. Mr. Bateman actually was animal control for the county before he came over here.
It's not running at large, but the county is required to all bite cases. So they have to respond to all bite cases regardless whether there's a contract, whether it's here, Broadwell, or wherever. So the other things that are in this contract is additional things on top of what the state of Illinois requires them to do.
And what is the county, how much do they put towards animal control, do we know?
I don't remember the exact number of the budget. Now, I know they transferred some money, and Chief Meister had the numbers. I want to say this year in their budget was up to like 200,000, but that's not normal. They transferred some money for building upgrades, equipment, stuff like that, and staffing. I will tell you that we are the only municipality in Logan County that has a contract. Every other village, town, whatever, if they get a call or it comes through dispatch and says, we've got a dog running at large, typically the way it goes is animal control will call the mayor or a representative of that community and say, hey, Mr. Parrott called me and he said there's a dog. Do you want me to come in and do it? If so, it'll be $500. And in most cases, the mayors and presidents say, no, thank you. And that was one of the topics we talked about, was that we felt that we are the primary funding source other than the county, and we are the largest municipality within Logan County, and that's why we wanted to look at numbers and see what the volume was. So, and the county was great having a conversation with us. They understood our position on it, and I really do believe that we're in a better spot than we were before. I still think that the future will tell how good it gets with animal control, but overall, Jane is actually good to work with. I can pick up a phone and have a conversation with Jane if I need to, and I have, and so that helps as well. Mr. Bateman.
So for the people listening at home, and this goes back to the decade that I was animal control chairman, this is for dogs and cats. Animal control by state statute this is not possums, raccoons, skunks, that kind of stuff. They can get you in touch. That is a specific job, and there used to be a couple people in Logan County that were certified to do that. So please bear in mind that they may put you in touch with somebody, but it is not, whether it's Lincoln or in the county, they do not do those kind of things. It's just dogs and cats.
Mr. Parrott.
So for some data, do we know how many calls that the city gets last year or had last year for Logan?
I do not have those numbers with me. They are actually in a folder at home. So what I can do is I can get them to you.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably well over about 112 or whatever.
Yeah, and we didn't get that document via email. It was given to us at the meeting, or otherwise I'd pull it up and try to get those to you now.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, any other questions, comments? Mr. Becky?
The contract is initially just 1 year payment on every month.
Month to month.
So the next year, so it's not 2 years or any.
Yeah, I think it's got an auto renew clause in it. Yeah, that was another thing. They wanted to make sure we stayed up with the cost of living, because they have people that they have operating expenses just like we do. And rather than meet them at the level that they wanted to, we proposed that we do an annual increase of what the CPI is, so that they keep up with the cost of living to operate that operation.
So next year, same thing will be renegotiated.
Yeah, well, it'll renew with the CPI, but we have the opportunity to reevaluate it and come back and say, this isn't working. We need to go back and have another conversation.
There's no other sources for this type of work. Yeah.
No, there is not. It's kind of like sometimes a love-hate relationship. It really is. I've seen it work really well. I've seen it work really bad. I will attribute that to the fact that there's staffing changes. I mean, who wants to go confront a dog that's potentially going to bite you? I mean, Mr. Comstock can probably tell you that officers don't even want to do that. But these people do it, and they do it for the wages that's been proposed. There's just things that happen, in society. People don't want to do it. There's budget constraints. There's a number of factors, and also those of us that are elected officials, every time there's a change in either the city or the county, you get new, fresh perspectives that come in and differences on how things should be run. I think this is the third animal control chair that I've worked with in my time as mayor. So Not to say that any of them are bad. I'm saying, just saying things change and it changes the circumstances and we adjust. Okay, so are we okay placing this on the regular agenda? Okay. We will place item number 13 on the regular agenda. Okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff. Do you need to take a drink before you start? Okay, you're gonna be talking. Okay. We will start with item number 14, Community Pavilion Loan Proposal. Mr. Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you've all received a copy of the memo that's in the agenda packet. The best terms that I was able to find for a loan, United Community Bank, 4.91 interest rate. We could do it either over a 3-year period or a 4-year period. Since this will be considered a capital project and be paid out of that fund, I thought it was best to recommend, as the memo will indicate, the 4-year loan proposal. In either case, the interest rate would be 4.91%. The difference, the payment will be $66,390.06 for the 4-year term. If we select the 3-year term, it'd be $86,453.40. You will be paying more interest by financing it over 4 years, but I think the demands on that fund, particularly with this road project that we have coming up, that I think it would probably be the best idea, best recommendation to go with the 4-year proposal. It will cost about $6,000 more in interest than it would with the 3-year. But under the circumstances, I think it's probably the best option.
I'm sorry. Are there any penalties for early payoff if
No.
circumstances change and we
And
can?
in fact, the interest would be reduced. No, there's no penalties for that.
Okay. Does anybody have,
Strike gold somewhere when you're building this pavilion. That kind of.
you never know. Maybe the state will give us some money back. I know. Don't everybody laugh. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Conzo on this particular topic?
I would add to that, too, that we are using some money from ARPA, the remaining balance of that, which currently $137,379.47. It'll be a while before we have to pay anything out. We should get a little bit more interest on that. And I calculated that into what the proposal was for, the amount that the construction proposal was, and engineering proposal, and subtracted what I think will be the amount when they start having to pay this out for construction. That's $137,582, more or less, in ARPA funds. Keep in mind that can only be used for the construction and not for the engineering.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is everybody okay placing this on the regular agenda for a 4-year loan? Okay, we'll put it on the regular agenda for a 4-year loan. Thank you on that, Mr. Conzo. Next up is item number 15, allocation of video gaming tax proceeds. Mr. Conzo, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I trust you've all read the memo that I put in the agenda packet. We talked about this at length in the Budget Committee, and I would certainly invite both the other 2 committee members to weigh in on this if they so choose. In order to balance the budget, and of course, keep in mind the budget is a plan for what you're going to spend. It doesn't mean that you're going to spend every dime of it. It may mean that you end up having to spend more, which is why you have the appropriation. And if we're fortunate, in most cases, we do come in a little bit under the budget. Assuming, and I'm talking about the general fund now, if we go with the things as they are, which is to split the video gaming tax at 50% between the general fund and the capital projects fund, if we continue to do that, you're going to have a deficit in the general fund of $198,263, assuming that would be assuming every line was spent to the maximum, or not over, not under. If we don't do that with the video gaming tax, if we do move the remainder of the video gaming tax back into the general fund, which is where it was previously prior to the 2022-2023 fiscal year, if If we do that, we would have a budget surplus of approximately $67,737. I'm recommending that we return to receiving the 100% of the video gaming tax proceeds into the general fund. Keep in mind, capital projects fund is going to be a little strained due to this expensive road project we have coming up. But there's also a provision. There's also a provision in the budget for transfer of funds from the general fund to the capital projects fund, and we've used that in the past. Last year we did not do it because we didn't need it. Prior year I think we did, and I can go back. We have always had that in there. We could, you could even change that. The nice thing about that is it gives you flexibility, so that if you don't have to do it, you don't do it, and that's why it's in the budget. You'll see it in the budget again this year. Transfer up to $325,000 as needed. If it's not needed, you don't do it. If it is needed, you transfer whatever amount you need up to $325,000. It's a lot less rigid, and it's more accommodating especially for the general fund, which is our primary operating fund, and it's what they look at. Standard & Poor's looks at when they do our bond rating, which is going to be real important here in a few days. It gives us more flexibility with that because it doesn't mandate receiving that money into another fund. You're receiving it into the general fund, and if you need it, you move it, later in the year or at the end of the year or whenever you need it. That's why it's a much better idea to do it that way. So my recommendation, as the memo would indicate, is that you pass a resolution to repeal resolution number 2022-449.
Mr. Parrott.
If it doesn't pass, what is Plan B?
Well, that's a great question, Alderman Barrett. I don't know what that is. That's going to be something you're going to have to, the council's going to have to decide. They could, trim something out of the budget somewhere else. I would guess that would be another option, out of the general fund specifically.
Ms. McClellan.
Just a couple of things that happened in the budget meetings is we've been really generous this year for our employees, which is wonderful. I mean, we gave the non-union employees nice wage increases. The union got everybody get 5%, maybe, was it?
For the first year?
Yeah.
Got nice wages. We've created like 4 or 5 positions this year. I mean, we've really done well by our employees, but that's also adding it up, it's like between $350,000 and $400,000 that we did not spend, that we spent this year in wages, new wages. So when you're talking about a deficient, I think that's a big part of what it is. Another part was emergency services and their contracts for a computer. I won't be able to describe it to you, but the connectivity. They don't really have any choice in what the scheduling and I can't remember what your programs are called, but they continually go up by $30,000 a year. So, there's increase in things that we don't have any control of, plus being kind to our employees. So there's things that have gone up that I think have probably caused what we're looking at. So
Yes.
they're attributed to, some of it can be attributed to that.
I think that is exactly right. I think you're, and the city clerk, please correct me on this, I think a Lad Tech is the program you're referring to, if I understand that correct. Yes, I mean, and it's great that, we're going to pay people a better wage, because I think they deserve it, certainly. But you have to be able to pay for it. and that's, we, for years, from, 2009, when we started getting the video gaming tax, we always receipted that into the general fund up through 2022. You start taking half of that away, it cuts into it at a time when you're actually spending more money each year in the general fund. And eventually, you get to the point that we've gotten to now. So we want to...
Chuck, do you know what we were bringing in gaming in 2009 versus what we're bringing in now?
I'd have to go back and look, but it was not very much. It didn't. I'm sorry, microphone's up here. I'd have to go back and look, Alderman Parrott, but I know it wasn't very much in 2009 because it started midway through the fiscal year, for one thing, and I think there were 1 or 2 places at that time. And then it was a year and a half before it caught on to about what it is, close to what it is now.
I'd like to think that in the time that I've been on this council, you know, it looked to me like we were bringing about $30,000 a month, and now I think we're bringing in about $40,000 a month, and so, you know, it's you know, an additional over $100,000 or so.
Plus, we also increased the terminal fees from $25 to $250 a terminal.
Let me add one thing, and I want to thank Alderwoman O'Donoghue for pointing this out. The year was 2012, not 2009. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Looks like she's got one of your fancy reports over there.
So it looks like in the first year of 2012, there's only 3 months worth, $3,805.40. And then the full year of 2013 was $65,488.34. And then at the end of 2024, we were at $508,629.12.
We had COVID in there prior to that did cut into it because everything was closed.
Yeah. Ms. McClellan, and then Mr. Bateman.
I just wanted to add too that emergency services, they've also done a really good job cutting their overtime this year, and their expenses, they're just really held the line on their expenses. So while we had some extra expenses, they've also really worked hard at keeping the budget small too. So.
And that point right there was one of our savings with the union negotiations, was one of the things that we were able to realize through a lot of hard work. Mr. Bateman?
To me, this is kind of a knee-jerk reaction because we always come in under budget, and we just, next week we're going to approve a loan for $66,000 worth of payments coming out of the exact same fund that you want to take the money away from. I personally am going to vote against this because I think, and Chuck pointed this out, that we can make changes to the budget as the year goes on, and I think we should see how we go. This city has always been fiscally responsible to the point where we actually just voted a couple months ago to reinvest money because we have extra money that we're sitting on. So I'm not 100% against it. I'm just 100% against it right now. I just think that there is a lot of stuff that needs repaired. When you walk out tonight, if the sun's still up, this building needs a serious tuck pointing. The bricks are starting to get dilapidated. That would be a capital projects fund. The parking lot is an absolute shambles. It should be just gravel at this point because it's terrible, and it's our city hall. I just don't feel at this point, since we've been so fiscally responsible all these years, that we just need to take a knee-jerk reaction to move funds when we've always proven that we do the right thing during the year. If we have to move it, we can move it later in the year.
Mr. Gonzo?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it's not exactly a knee-jerk reaction. It's trying to pass a balanced budget to start with. If you start out with a deficit, then you have that much more to make up. You have the capability, as I think I mentioned a couple of times here, that with the transfer to the capital projects fund is needed. Up to $325,000 is what's currently in the proposed budget. As you get further, if you want to change something during the year, it would be a more fiscally responsible thing to do, particularly, and I keep going back to this bond ratings, and I'll get to that in a minute, more about that in a minute, but it would be more responsible, fiscally responsible, to do that, to see if you have the money available to transfer to the capital projects fund. And at that point in time, you can amend the budget and the appropriation to provide for that. As far as the money that you voted to invest a while ago, that isn't extra money. That's part of the fund balance. That's why in that report I've tried to stipulate that more in recent months since we started using CDs. A CD is a liquid investment, so you can liquidate it at any time, and you're not going to lose the principal like you would if you put it in a stock market or put it in a mutual fund or something like that, which goes up and down. And we have that too with IMET, Illinois Metropolitan Investment Fund. But the CDs, you don't lose anything, and the terms of those are 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. We did have a 12-month. I don't think I'd have to go back and look. We probably don't, but I mean, in any case, they're not any longer than that. So you're not really investing money that we don't need. We're putting money in something that yields a higher interest rate than a NOW account or business checking account would. And that's the difference. And you can talk to our auditor, Laurie, about that. That is part of the general fund balance. That is not some investment that's tied up and difficult to liquidate, where you can lose the principal, like some of the other investments that I described. Back to the bond rating for a minute. I'm going to have a call here on the 29th of April with Standard & Poor's, and they're going to ask a lot of questions. One of the things they're going to ask about is how much money we have on hand, how many months that will cover. Well, if you're spending about $12 million a year, you need a $12 million fund balance. That's kind of the gold standard. We're not anywhere close to that. We're not down in the $1.5 million or $2 million range like we were many years ago. But we're not up to where we've come a long way, but we need to build on that. And when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about an $8.25 million bond issue, that bond rating is everything. And that fund balance is a critical part of that, which is why, and that's the general fund that they look at. The special funds are allocated where you put money in it and you spend it because, that's what it's for, like the TIF money or like the GO bond money. But the general fund is your primary operating budget. And it's extremely important to maintain a healthy fund balance of that and to at least start out with a balanced budget.
Mr. Hoblet and then Mr. Parrott.
Mr. Conzo, if you've answered this question, my apologies, but with this potential resolution going to be voted on next week, and I assume the budget as well, if this is passed, would that not change your budget numbers? Like, say, if we're having a deficit, and if we pass the resolution revoking the previous resolution, would that change the numbers for that respective budget? And if so, are you asking for a consensus from the council tonight to have the appropriate numbers for the budget?
Yes, Mr. City Attorney, that is correct. I did figure this budget in that $10,625,215 in revenue in the general fund. I did include in that the entire video gaming amount. So yes, you're correct. We would have to do some revisions if that is not. And of course, this would be effective May 1st as the budget is.
And there was also, if I'm not mistaken, another email that came out today, which adds to this topic, correct? Or your potential deficit that you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
What, didn't you send another email out today about an additional issue that we had to take into consideration? Yeah.
Oh,
it
yes,
was
yes, we had to make some revisions. That was yesterday, and that those revised pages that I sent out show that amount.
So that's on top of what you're asking
No,
us
that's
to help correct,
included in
right?
that.
It's included in that?
That's 67,000 deficit, or $67,000 surplus, or the budget deficit that I mentioned. That would be including that.
Okay, perfect.
Because the only difference in that was $450 for the general fund, was $450 for the street and alley department.
Yeah, I think what caught my attention in that email was a missing zero or something to that effect.
That's what happened with the. That was in a different fund, but in the general fund, it was $450.
Okay, perfect.
And a special thank you to Charity for catching that. She is not here tonight, but she does a nice job with that.
Thanks, Mr. Parrott. Did you have something?
Yeah, I think I have a couple. I have a couple of questions here. So, in the budget that you looked at, or currently have in place, it takes in consideration the money coming out of the gaming, and if we didn't do that, the budget would be in a deficit of like $173,000.
I think I said.
I didn't.
I think that's probably right. Let me look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's very close. I know that.
Pretty close. And how much of an increase from this year's budget did we go up from last year?
Well, let me answer your first, well, let me go back to that first question about your general fund. When you ask about how much we went up, are you talking about the general fund in particular? I assume that's what you're,
My first question?
no, the first question was about the deficit.
Right.
Right, okay. And the second question was about how much it changed, or?
Yeah. Just if we looked at
The
the budget,
deficit would go, go ahead.
the budget that is going to be proposed this year versus the budget that we had
Okay.
currently.
First, the deficit would be about $198,263.
Okay.
To answer your first question, if we don't do that. The general fund, you want to know the difference in expenditures in the general fund from last year to this year?
Yes.
Okay, last year it was $10,106,131, as it was indicated on page 10. This year it would be $10,557,878.
And the 400,000 difference plus change or whatever.
Right.
Is mostly from.
Is that what Robin was referring to earlier?
Salaries.
Yeah, that's part of it, and, you know, we've added.
Salaries and benefits or whatever.
Yeah, well, we've added personnel, you know.
Right.
And that, even aside from the increases, I mean, you've added more people too, so yes.
Okay.
Software services, things of that nature.
Yes, software service.
Thank you.
Brett, can you use your microphone, please?
And everybody's up to full staff too, I think now, which is part of which is great. I mean, that's exactly what we want, but then again, we're paying more people, so.
Mr. Barrett?
Just maybe two more questions. And so, if we do this, you mentioned about, will we be building up our fund budget balance at all from this year, or are we going to remain steady?
Well, you mean I think it's going to depend on, you know, and the department heads will tell you this when I talk to them, it's always about stuff that breaks. You know, it's, when they come in, they'll all tell you this. First thing I ask them is, what broke now? Because that's, and I'm not trying to evade your question, Alderman Parrott, but that has a lot to do with things that, how, you know, what happens from year to year with the fund balance.
And I guess my question is longer vision down the road. Let's say budget next year, right? When salaries increase and we don't have money to come from the gaming any longer, what's the plan then? What do we do then going forward?
Well, you know, we're going to have to, that's a good question, and I think what you're going to have to do is look at some of the other lines and maybe cut some of those. The other thing is, usually the income tax revenue goes up each year, the state income tax, our portion of it, as does the amount of the sales tax, because the price of things goes up, so, you know, when they sell them, there's more tax on them. So those are two of the things that I think will probably help to increase the revenue. You may recall a few weeks ago I talked about the $12 million that the state took back over the last several years from us, or didn't forward to us. But assuming at the same rate, wages go up, so those tax revenues statewide will go up. And I think those are two of the things that would bring in more revenue. Do have to be careful though too, because a lot of times as revenue goes up, so does the expenses for things. So we're getting revenue from things that are sold, and we get the sales tax or from income tax from, you know, people getting an increase in salary. But you also have, when something does break, it costs more to fix it or to replace it. The other thing you want to note too, last year we had in the budget a transfer from the sewer O&M fund that was to pay for the expenses we did not plan for, we did not budget for, with major demolition and some landfill cleanup and things of that sort. We didn't do it last year. I do have it in the budget this year. So, you know, that's going to be a one-time thing if council chooses to exercise that loan from sewer O&M fund to the general fund.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that we've had a lot of successes this year, you know, with the museum, the pavilion. It's an expensive success, but Fifth Street Road is finally happening. But what I think that also means is in the coming 2 to 3 years, we need to operate kind of lean. We need to scrutinize our expenses. Now, there are some line items in the budget that we projected a certain amount of money. We didn't use all that. Like, for instance, economic development grants. Those things have been very successful in past years. We have had people come and ask for almost all of the funds that we allocated. This year, that wasn't the case, but that don't mean that it won't be next year. So we just got to kind of keep an eye on things and make good choices, I guess is a good way of putting it. So, Mr. Conzo, do you have anything else on this topic?
No, I guess it's kind of leads into the budget, because it's going to be part of that.
Well, before we get into the budget, is the council okay putting this on the regular agenda? The resolution to repeal resolution number 2022-449? Okay, we'll place that on the regular agenda for you, Mr. Conzo. Okay, Mr. Conzo, you do have item number 16 as well, budget fiscal year 2026-2027. As we get into this, we talked about this today on the department head call, and Mr. Conzo will walk us through the budget as he sees fit. But it also might be good if the department heads could kind of just very high level talk about the things that were important to your departments as you were having discussions with the budget committee. So that would give the council some insight into the decisions that were made. With that, Mr. Conzo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm not going to go through all 29 pages of this line by line, but I will. I did send it out, I guess, was it last week, to the full council or sometime last week, and asked if there were any questions about it. I really didn't hear from anybody, so I'm assuming there weren't any. I would certainly entertain any questions you have. Now, keep in mind that Alderwoman McClellan and Alderman Clemens also worked very hard on this budget and spent a lot of time, as did their staff, and as did the department heads and their staff. So, as the mayor has indicated, the department heads, probably better able to address some of those questions pertaining to their sections of the budget. And with that, I would, I think the document speaks for itself. Where you see increases, it's because something's changed. You're again going back to the point about adding more people and paying them more. That when you do that, your IMRF contribution goes up, and so does the Social Security payroll tax, the portion that we pay for Social Security, which is what's in the budget. In addition, does not include what the employee pays. But those things go up as well. Some of the other things, remain pretty stable. Like I said, the salaries, certainly there's increases there. The gas and oil, I've always budgeted high with that. In previous years, we haven't needed that. I'm not so sure we won't need it this year. And we'll find out as the year progresses. But I think it's good to budget a little higher for that. That's helped us out a lot, so we're not caught off guard when it does go. A lot of times it does go up over the course of the year. It did a few years ago. We did have in 2021, 2022, right in there, we did have significant increases. They weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, so we didn't use the entire amount that we budgeted, but that we did use more than the prior years. So it is always good to budget that at the high end because it's volatile.
Okay. Did you want to go over the pages and the changes you sent out today? Was that worth going over?
I wasn't going to go over.
Or is it self-explanatory in your opinion in the email?
I think it was yesterday. Yes, I think it was self-explanatory. If it wasn't, please let me know. I think there were, 2 changes in there. There were 2 changes. Of course, you had to change the totals when you change those lines, and so that's why there's There's a lot of red marks on there because there's sections of those funds or sub-funds and then the funds themselves that changed. So,
All right. Chief Johnson, do you want to talk about fire?
Yes, sir. So some of the things that we spoke with Mr. Conzo about, we're a fairly young department right now, and as a lot of us older guys are retiring out, the newer members need specialized training for specialized rescue. So we wanted to increase our training budget so we can get more people over to rope ops class, hazmat class, things of that nature. Along with that training, we also, all of our equipment has expiration dates on it, whether it be our structural firefighting gear, especially our specialized rescue stuff, our ropes, everything like that. In the past few years, we've been trying to allocate, $5,000 or $6,000 here or there that over a 5 or 6 year period, we can get everything back up to where it really should be and then kind of keep it on a rotation to keep things from expiring. So we put a little bit more emphasis on the training in our budget for next year, just so we can get a lot of the new members over to class and then continue that over the next 2 or 3 years as another third of our department will be retired. So that was the big push in our budget changes. And it didn't go up a whole lot. We moved some money around here and there, but that was the big thing that we discussed.
Any questions for Chief Johnson? Okay, Mr. Woodhull?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but to the best of my knowledge, we really didn't go up too much. The biggest items would have been nuisance, addressing the nuisances, which is mowing and a lot of trash pickup and demolition, both of which costs have gone up, a lot of fuel, trucking, and dump fees. So other than that, gas and oil in general, that line item surely went up. Other than that, we don't have a massive piece of the pie, so we use what we get. And the demo stuff, I just like to, it's unfortunately it's just going, everything's going up, so that's really about all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Woodhull? Okay, Deputy Chief Comstock, do you have anything? I know you weren't involved heavily in this, but do you have anything you'd like to share?
Not a whole lot. We had gone through several of our line items. I think Chief Meister and myself have been pretty fiscally responsible, been able to not expend all of our money every year. A lot of things we were able to plan ahead for as far as training and new officers and things like that. Our biggest expense is going to be the replacement of a few squad cars. We have some that are aging and costing us quite a bit of money. You're putting good money at something bad, and the cost of those has gone up huge. And some of our equipment, our technology has gone up, and those things we can't control, but we've been able to look at some other items and we're able to trim those back. So I think all in all, ours went fairly smoothly.
Any questions for the Deputy Chief? Okay, Mr. Landers?
So we were able to lower some funds, and we also had to increase some funds. Some of the reasons for increases in the funds was we just did not have a very good year as far as equipment repairs and breakdowns. So we expended pretty much the total budget in that line. So we annualized out and then increased it. I can't remember what the exact number was, but I think we raised that a fund about $10,000. And then we had some other maintenance items that we have to address this year. One of them being the traffic signals at Conley Road. So we had to budget the money to pay for those, the upgrade in the detection system there. And then we also have budgeted extra money for some pavement markings to try to get some pavement lines updated, painted down. So good news with sale of surplus equipment. We were planning on having a lease to purchase on a truck. With the surplus sale of equipment, we're going to be able to budget some money in this next year's budget, and we'll be able to pay that unit off. So it's still a truck that's coming, but we're going to be able to pay that unit off and not have to borrow any money on it. But again, we still need to keep updating our fleet, so we have money budgeted for a down payment on another truck, and going into a lease payment situation on another dump truck. And then also, with the engineering and things like that with Tremont Street, the capital project fund's gonna be strained. So, we gotta be careful. So with Tremont Street and Fifth Street going, engineering dollars, it's gonna be a challenge, I think.
And the Tremont project and the, obvious cost increases because things, when they take longer and span over years, it costs more, as we know with Fifth Street.
We were lucky that we were able to carry some money over from last year that we didn't expend, so that's gonna help out tremendously, on resurfacing, so, but that project's gonna be going here pretty soon. Bid letting for Tremont Street is April 22nd. So I would assume construction would start sometime, late spring, early summer.
Excellent. Mr. Barrett?
So we budgeted for Tremont in last year's budget, right?
Correct,
And so
yes.
did we carry all of that budget over?
Not all of it, but a large portion of it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
It didn't, the project just didn't proceed like we thought it would. That's where a lot of that carryover came from. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Landers? Okay, thank you. Mr. Bounds?
All right, so the three biggest hitters for sewer in the upcoming fiscal year are the Campus View Drive sewer installation, the engineering that was spoke about tonight about luxury uptake of phosphorus, converting to a biological process, save money long-term, and the dechlorination project that was approved last year and is currently under construction out there right now. That accounts for a little bit over 30% of the capital expenditures in the entire budget.
Any questions for Mr. Bounds? Okay, and then would a member of the budget committee mind speaking to how things went with tourism? Because this was something that Mr. Conzo and I have talked about on multiple occasions, is the need to get a good, stable budget for tourism set. I do know that some of the reimbursements have already been requested and received, which helped offset the first year's payment on the new building. But beyond that, I would be interested to hear how that went. Ms.
Mostly,
McClellan?
we didn't have a lot of good information, I would say, at this point, because the museum's not open, because we don't really have a good handle on what the expenses are gonna be, or what the expenses have been. What has it been, about 2 months now, maybe 3 months now? So, there's really not, Mr. Conzo's a great estimator. So what we're doing is we're counting on Mr. Conzo to estimate a lot. And so, one thing that needs to be estimated and probably needs to be talked about is, and we've talked about it a little bit, is what we're gonna do for, a part-time position to help, full-time position to help. What will that position eventually be? And so that needs to be, obviously that hasn't been decided because we don't know if it's going to be a full-time position even yet. Is it museum going to be open in the winter? There's just a lot of things up in the air yet. So there's not a lot of information in the tourism budget at this point to really, other than Mr. Conzo's amazing estimates. He's pretty good at that after all these years.
Thank you, Alderwoman McClellan. I don't know, but I thank you.
Would you?
Do you want to?
Oh, go ahead.
I just to pick up on that. I've got projected, and this includes the grant proceeds yet to arrive in the budget at 637, 420, 521, and if you look at the expenditures, we've got them in virtually the same amount. If you look over to this on page 15, over to the right, only about 128,000 of that has been, contained in this budget here because we don't know yet what a lot of these other things are going to be. I've talked with Mr. McCoy, and I understand he is putting something together pertaining to how the rest of that remaining grant money, how that will need to be spent, because that's already been spent. Some of it was with money borrowed from the general fund that'll have to be paid back prior to the end of the fiscal year. But yes, as Alderwoman McClellan said, it's still, she summarized it very well.
Ms. McClellan?
The other thing is, there's potential for a lot of revenue, but we don't know what that's gonna be yet. I mean, there's rooms that are being rented out, the depot is being rented out. So, there's a lot of potential, but we have no idea what it's gonna be yet. It seems to, I mean, it'll probably be a few months before we really know what that's gonna be. But, tourist season isn't really here yet, and so, it's very seasonal. Tourism is very seasonal too, so, it'll probably, I would guess it's gonna be probably end of summer before we really have a good idea of what's gonna go on there.
Yeah, I would agree. And there's been a few rentals of the depot that we've done. Mr. Hoblet here is gonna share a walk-on topic about a lease agreement that we need the council to approve. So we have somebody that's ready to rent some space in the incubator side of the property. And, you're right, there's gonna be ticket sales, gift shop, things of that nature. I think we probably need to be prepared for the fact that it's the year that we're opening up the museum. And so we will probably see more traffic this year, especially with the Centennial, than in years to follow. But I think as new exhibits within the building continue to be created and put in place, it'll continue to draw people. And we've got some other things going on with tourism too, so. Ms. McClellan?
A lot of the tourism with Route 66 is European or from other countries too, so we might not see this season, because people plan ahead for a year or 2 or 5 before they make a trip like that. So tourism's kind of a different animal.
It is. But I guess my question may be more for Mr. Conzo. Do you feel, at least giving what you do know about tourism, do you at least feel comfortable with the projection and the budget?
Not really. I mean, because there's still so much of it up in the air, and there's so many undecided things. I'm not saying I'm completely uncomfortable with it, but I would really like to see how these expenses come in, and also how if revenues increase, and it's going to really depend on that. And a lot of that's going to be beyond our control. If gasoline remains high, it's going to have a very negative impact on travel, even though it's a centennial for Route 66, and that's terrible, but that will be the case, So that'll have an impact on the hotel motel tax.
Well, and I do hope that, we could talk about this all night, but I do hope that the push that we have had, not only just with tourism, but the impact it has on economic development and growth, and promoting our businesses, and that cross promotion, that's already happening. There's a lot of activity down there. I do think, I guess this goes back to something Steve asked earlier too, is there is the potential for an increase in sales tax revenue as a result of these efforts as well. So I'm curious to see how this year goes.
Yeah, and I think in the long term, it's going to be real good, but I can see this year ahead probably being a little rough for the reasons that I described, that a lot of this is uncertain, and also I keep going back to this, but the gasoline too is a major problem.
So we need to make good choices.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Ted? Ms. McClellan?
I would just like to say, if anybody can do it, Scott McCoy can do it.
Yeah.
He is tireless. He is there all the time and creative, and he knows so many people, and he's just pulling so many really fun things together, neon and flagpoles, and I mean, it's just going to be it's going to be a great addition to the downtown. And we're just going to have to be a little bit patient before we start to really know what the advantage is going to be. So
Yeah, it seems like every other day he's got something new and exciting to share, and I think there's even some stuff that happened today which he can share with you when he feels fit. But very exciting stuff. I think Lincoln's going to see a lot of traffic through town and a lot of people stopping. So, okay, I think that covers everybody. Mr. Conzo, anything else on the budget?
Not that I can think of, unless there are questions about. I mean, we could go into great detail as we did in those meetings.
On the budget?
But, I don't know if there's any other questions. I'll try to answer them.
Okay, so anybody have questions for Mr. Conzo? Hold on one second. So do you want to put this on the agenda for next week? Is that your request?
Yes, because we need to pass it by the end of the
End of the year.
By the end of the
Well, that's what I was wondering. So, public hearing.
Yeah, the
It'll
public
be,
hearing.
it'll happen before the
It'll-
voting
Oh,
meeting,
yeah.
though,
that would
correct?
have- Yes, it would.
Okay.
There'll be two, the binding hearing and they're both public hearings, so.
Okay.
6 and 1 at
And they're on the agenda at the bottom. Okay, perfect. Mr. Hoblet has a question.
Yes, Mr. Conzo. I know you indicated that, in 2022, there was a resolution, that established the capital funds and the video and the general fund. Before that, was there a resolution that was passed prior to that was just indicated that all of it was going to go to the general fund, or was it just automatically go in there?
I would have to go back and check, but I think it was just, we just did that. We just
Okay.
reseated it in that way, except, I'm trying to think, if we do anything different. I'd have to go back and look to be able to tell you that for sure.
I was just going to indicate on the resolution if there was another one that was passed that set it to the general fund.
No, I don't believe there was. I think we
Okay.
just, once we started getting it, we started depositing it in the general fund.
Understood.
Okay. All right. So with that, we'll put item number 16 on the regular agenda for next week. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Before we do that, we have a walk-on topic. Mr. Hoblet has a topic regarding the lease agreement I just mentioned. Floor is yours, sir.
Yes, so I believe it's become ripe to pass a general lease for the incubator spaces. As the mayor indicated, there's at least interest in some of those. There's a numbering system up now for those rooms. So what I am going to like to proffer to the council for this coming voting session would be a stripped down lease. So if you recall, we passed a lease with LEED, and what we would do is that we would just have blanks, like say for the monetary amount, have a blank, like say for the incubator unit or units that they would be utilizing, and things of those. So you have some fill in the blank for the lease periods. I assume they'd be a year-to-year lease. So that's what I would like. It would be in essence very similar to the one you saw from LEED, but just with those blank spots. And I believe the mayor is discussing having a fee schedule for those incubator units. A set fee schedule in the future as to what each one of those would cost. And I think that would come before the council too at some point. So.
Yeah, the lease agreement, I asked Mr. Hoblet to write it up with flexibility. Some of those rooms down there are very similar in size. Some of them are not. So we need to have a little bit of flexibility. In full disclosure, we do have somebody who is interested in occupying some of that space already. And it's contingent upon this lease agreement being approved by the council. And so if the council sees fit, we'd like to put the lease agreement on the agenda for next week. I can have Mr. Hoblet send out a copy of the draft of the lease agreement to the council for review. Is the council amenable to that? Okay. We'll place that item on the regular agenda for next week too then. Thank you. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Does anybody have announcements they'd like to share? Mr. Woodhull.
Just that electronic recycling is next week. It's every day of the week out at our facility at 313 Limit Street. The flyers online on the Facebook page and all that. So
Do you know how the sign-up sheet is going? I haven't talked with Charity since
I don't think
the request for electronic, the request
I don't
for
think very
volunteers.
well.
Yeah.
There's
Mr. Woodhull?
there's a few.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
Mr.
still
Woodhull.
have no one signed up for Wednesday night, I don't believe, for the extended hours.
Can you ask Charity to send that back out to the council with an update
Yes.
with the positions that are available? Okay.
It'll be staffed regardless.
Okay. All right, and then you did mention the cleanup day that got announced today too, Wes? Wes, did you announce the cleanup day too? That got announced today, or Walt, do you want to do that?
May 9th.
May 9th?
Yeah.
Okay. All the information's out on the city website and the Facebook page, what is and is not acceptable. If you have questions, reach out. Mr. Woodhull or Mr. Landers can answer those questions for you. Okay. Ms. McClellan?
Just to clarify, what is electronic recycling? What does that include or not include?
It's your computers, your TVs, your radios. We don't want, it's electronics, not your appliances, not your coffee makers, vacuums, heaters, microwaves, stuff like that.
Nothing broken.
Correct.
Not,
Ideally,
and there's a difference between not operational and broken.
Yeah, we get several of them are not operational, but some of them come in and
Shattered
piles.
pieces, broken tubes and things like that. So, but the other stuff can come to the cleanup part on the night.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple weeks later, you can get rid of it.
Don't bring microwaves. There's some come out every year.
Several.
What about window air conditioning? Those are, no.
Those aren't acceptable. They have Freon in them.
And once broken open, they can, or once removed, that the gases, they can go to recycling, to your
Lincoln
metal.
iron and metal.
Yeah.
Yep. And that is, the electronics recycling is open to all of Logan County.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
But cleanup day on May 9th is specific to Lincoln residents only.
Lincoln residents that have service with area disposal. Good standing accounts.
Which everybody should, right?
With good standing accounts.
There's a-
So if you have
Are they
not if you have not paid your bill and you have a debt with area, you're not going to be allowed to dump.
They will be checking.
They check them every. Yes, they sit at the beginning of the line and they check your account as you come in.
Okay.
Only a certain number of TVs, correct?
4 day.
4 days.
Come 5 days a week if you'd like.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, any other announcements? Anybody? Okay, if there are no announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alderwoman O'Donohue made the motion to adjourn. Alderman Parrott second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned at 7:41 PM.